Recording in progress.
He had to dig down almost 4 feet to get to the meter, clear all the dirt off, and then the phone that he was carrying started sensing the meter. So how are you getting a meter reading when he can't get it standing over the top of it? I work for the PUD, I know how these things work. I'm not sure I understand how we're getting accurate reads, especially when my meter changes this much. I mean, it's inconceivable. I just want to know if someone can put another meter in there and check it, because we've had this problem for 8 years.
Well, I would say absolutely, we can go and dig it up and see what's wrong with it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
How do I pursue that? Who do I have to?
If you could just give us a call during the office hours, and we'll put you down and get Roger on it and see where we have to go from there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'm new to this. My name's Don Snyder. I live off Main Street here. I approached the fire department twice and dispatched twice, and also Tiger Fire Department about what is constituted as a fire and what is allowed and not allowed. I have a neighbor that was lighting during the whole burn ban, and I was just kind of just fluffing it off for a while, not doing anything about it till there was a day of extreme heat and wind. Gentleman right here, I don't know your name, he came by and checked it out on the second attempt. Gave me some information, gave me some insight so I could know what, I still in the end I didn't know what constitutes a fire, because dispatch, they can't write citations, right? Correct. That is a big problem sometimes when we have to wait for a structure to light on fire or to put someone into check. And of course we want to be polite about it, but when they're consistently doing something wrong like that and putting others at risk around them, my place is full of wood. My floors, my ceilings, my walls, my burning wood. I try to keep it very safe and organized at my place. That's an issue to me, and when the dispatch said, well, is it a flame? I go, it was at first, and then they came out, he sprinkled a little water from his hose on it. It smoldered for another 4 hours. So I called back within an hour and a half of the dispatch, and they says, well, is there flame? I go, no, but it's smoldering really good. And she said, call me back when there's a flame. That to me seems like it's not really a concern, when it is a concern to us around it. So I need to know that there's some kind of, answer that we can kind of pursue. I don't need to know, I'm trying to find out if we can pursue something a little bit more stronger towards that when people are doing that, because the dispatch clearly did not have a deputy probably around the area, so they were just waiting to see when it gets critical.
Was it a burning barrel, or was it?
No, what I can tell you, I found when myself and a couple of guys went over after a gentleman had stopped by at the station. We found a gentleman smoking ribs in a homemade smoker in the backyard. I wouldn't say that this was the best design. That's what we found when we went in the backyard.
No one's going to be smoking barbecue ribs on old wood, and I have video of it.
Okay, I'm just telling you what I found. When we got there, we approached the backyard. We found ribs on what looked to be a homemade smoker.
And he was also not out there watching it for over a half an hour, and your gentleman knocked on the door for 5 minutes and asked me if he will answer his front door. That is an issue to me when someone's not watching what they're doing.
Absolutely. He needs to be out there with it. Yes.
But there was nothing ever fully put out when he was out there, and I talked to you gentlemen, which you're very polite. I hope I'm not jumping on you right now by saying this, but he sprinkled some water on it and it was still going. So when you guys said that if he's not watching it, you will put it out for him.
He can put it out.
That did not happen.
Other than, you have to understand, cooking fires have different rules.
Yes, I agree.
Right. So the idea that he has ribs wrapped in foil and on it, that changes a fire, just somebody burning in their backyard. Like, if I go, I am violating his rights if I just go and soak him wet. My guys, as I understand it, talking about it today, they went and advised him he needed to be out there with it if he is cooking. So cooking fires, this comes back to the code enforcement issue that all the towns have. There isn't a direct somebody. It's not a matter where the sheriff's office can interject per se directly. The fire department does not have enforcement ability. I can put stuff out with water. That's where my line would end. Again, there are specific times. Warming fires and cooking fires are outside what I can just extinguish for sake of extinguishing. At that point, it can turn into a matter, I guess that'd be a civil matter, not so much criminal.
It could be reckless burning, it could be a lot of things. So typically, and I mentioned this to the mayor earlier tonight, so typically when it comes to illegal burns or fires, especially this time of year, the initial call goes to dispatch. Dispatch should be alerting the fire department. They've got the water, they've got, they're up on the restrictions and all that kind of stuff. They typically go out and it's usually an educational process. It's talking to the person, educating them, helping them put out the fire if necessary. If the person is resistive and argumentative with them, or if it's a repeat customer, then they can call us and we'll come down and we can take enforcement action as far as writing a citation. But we always try to offer that educational opportunity first.
So my question, which was original, what constitutes a fire when he still let it smolder for hours upon that visit? And I believe a return visit came after that as well. So there was no constitution. I didn't know when it's considered a fire, because to me, if I see smoke coming out of my chimney stack, that is considered a fire to me, And same with him, he just sprinkled it with some water and walked back inside. He abandoned it again after he went out there with his hose. So I took several directions to try to find out if I'm being, unreasonable, but I didn't think I was, so I was trying to find out.
Well, and I don't think anyone's unreasonable this time of year to want to be safe or want their neighbor to do things safely. That's not unreasonable. I think that, there's always going to be steps that have to be followed. I do think I'll talk more with my guys and see why maybe we couldn't move to extinguishment the second time. If they were there a second time, I didn't understand them to have been back that second time.
Because I went through the correct procedure, because I went to you guys first.
Yep.
The dispatch says, no, you gotta come to us, probably to keep record.
Yes.
And so I was like, well, my bad. I was a block away. I figured this was the fastest route.
Sure.
So.
But I'll talk with my guys more. Again, some of this falls back on the idea that at this point, it would be the DNR who could show up and write someone a fine. In the city limits, the DNR is not going to be able to do much. It would fall back on the town as far as code enforcement.
If it was code enforcement, now there is reckless burning and a few other things that we could get involved in if it becomes necessary.
Okay.
And some of it depends on the time of year and what burn restrictions. So rarely is there an actual burn ban where there's no burn. That does happen this time of year, but often it's restrictions. So you can't do this, but this is still allowed. So open flame from a gas grill would still be allowed and some other things. So,
Right.
So there are different stages of that. So
Sure.
Obviously if this happened within the last few days or last week or so, I would assume we're in a full burn ban at that.
This Friday.
Well, the next day,
This Friday.
following day, the chief cut off all burn period because the wind came right after that day, so it was the next day.
This Friday can cook with wood stove.
Correct. Yeah, this Friday, DNR has increased their burning restrictions again and has asked the Forest Service now and DNR both are banning fires even in approved campfire rings within. So nowhere in the county should you have a campfire as of Friday.
Didn't they do a state burn ban?
No, so it's a little confusing. The governor did make a proclamation. The governor does not have the authority to do that. That's the Commissioner of Public Lands who determines that. And so yes, the governor made a proclamation of a burn ban, and when he lifts that, that doesn't mean you can go back to burning. It has to come from that Commissioner of Public Lands.
Because there was something about until September 30th. There was a ban, I gave a date, September or
Correct.
something.
But And see, the Commissioner of Public Lands would hopefully not give you a date because we cannot guarantee it'll be safe to burn at that time.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So the governor, I think, is trying to make a good faith effort and support what the rest of us are doing in the state. But it's not necessarily enforceable or compatible
Well, they
with
need
what
to.
everybody else is doing.
They need to. They need to.
So to say, I'll speak more with my guys. If your neighbor does this again, I assume he's not cooking it this time? Or
I think he sees the signs now because of all the news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if he were to begin to burn again, call dispatch, let them know, they'll send us out. We'll make our first visit and educate, and then if he continues, call again. And then we'll continue to escalate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I was gonna talk about this a little bit later, but our town's website went live today. And on that website, there is a button for reporting a concern. And that email goes directly to me. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you report a concern on that email, it's gonna come to me. And that sort of a burning situation where you're not getting the answer that you hope for or that you think is appropriate. And like I say, Chief McCannerin and Sheriff Blakesley, they have their parameters. Certainly I don't have any enforcement authority, but I might be able to just walk over there and have a conversation with them, and if I know about it going on. And to your point, I did, I observed some people setting off fireworks in the town here the other night, and according to Sheriff Blakesley, they got the report too, and I was gonna try and talk to the people, but when I sat and observed them for a bit, then I wasn't comfortable doing that. So my intention was to call the sheriff, and when I went back 15 minutes later, they were gone. So that reporting a concern is just another way of bringing some attention to it, and I may not be able to do anything about it, but I can certainly send messages to the sheriff and I've also had some conversations with the DNR guys now. I'm getting a little more familiar with some of those guys, and I've seen them, they've been coming through the car wash from time to time and stuff, and who knows, I might be able to get a little help there. You just never know. You're right, it is so bad out there that it's just dang foolish that somebody would be letting a fire go unattended. So we'll do whatever we can. Anything else for the first comment period?
How much is the, Sean Lee, sorry, I live on 8, how much is the average household in this town using a month in water, let's just say? I mean, is there an average are a lot of people going over on this? Because, I have a unique situation where I live. I'm set clear back. My house probably sits 50, 60 feet farther back on the lot than all the other houses on 8th. And I'm surrounded by railroad-owned property, or the, what do they call that back, the old mill yard? Used to have something to do with the train depot coming in there or whatever. There's a word for it, I can't remember. Yeah, something. Anyway, and you responded, I believe, to the fire that we already had back there, that I know who started now, if you'd like to talk about that later. But, the railroad tracks are a traveling byway for anybody in this town that rides motorcycles, doesn't have a car or whatever. And they're constantly back there behind my house. And I would like to, I can barely make my water bill now. And I'm trying to, Sandy's been great, but I try to keep up, we're trying to keep up. But, I'm not even able to water. And I'm, like I said, I have about my backyard isn't even this wide. And then boom, it's just dense railroad property that I'm technically not allowed to do anything with, but yet I was told I could do anything with. And I'd like to be trying to keep that down. I've got 6 foot, 7 foot tall grass in the backyard going right down into the old swamp there. And, if it catches on fire, I mean, I didn't even have 5 minutes to get out of there. I'm surrounded by trees. And then I got a neighbor that's been gone for 3.5, 4 years with a dilapidated barn, trees growing into my property. I mean, if it goes, you know, and it's just, we have to be able to water right now. And I mean, are we in a water shortage around here?
No.
You know, I was surrounded by water down the slough and I couldn't get a well to even go. So maybe down there is a different story, but here, I just think we ought to be encouraging everybody to crank the water up and get everything as wet as you can. And it still's not gonna solve anything. If we get a fire through here, like in Spokane, it's over. I mean, it's over. There's no way you guys are gonna be able to put that out if it comes. And I'm the second line of houses when that thing comes over the hill.
I'll tell you, my friend lost her house in Spokane, and we're good friends.
I
She
got
knows
half
how
my
I talk
family
about the
displaced
water.
right now in Spokane.
Right,
My
but she
brother-
said, let me finish,
Yeah.
Sean. She said, 5 minutes, she says, I'm telling you what, it don't matter how green your damn yard is,
No, it doesn't,
it's gone.
but it can't hurt, you know?
She said it wouldn't help, and everybody, the whole neighborhood said that.
So-
When it hits, it's gone.
And you know, I'm to the point where, you know, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
just
whether.
that situation.
So to answer your first question, and Sandy will correct me if I'm wrong, I just went over this with Roger the other day, but approximately 10% of our meters will run over the 15,000
Yeah.
gallon allotment.
Okay, that's interesting.
So about 90% of our water meters are at the 15,000 or under.
Well, the reason I bring this up, when I first bought the property down the slough, I didn't have water. So I was told that I could fill up, this was before you guys had the system with the fire department and all that, and I was filling up my water at the park. And it was never a problem until one day I showed up down there. This is the day I met Roger, and I was threatened to be prosecuted for stealing water. When one of the guys that had already told me, I said, hey, is this gonna be a problem? He said, no, we don't care, as long as it's on. And, you know, so my wife actually had to go to the city of Newport and figure this all out. Well, they said, well, you're allowed this much water for so much money. And I said, okay, fine, who do I pay? Well, we didn't have a system. And I said, well, if you don't have a system, then you don't have somebody to take my money, then you don't have a system. You know, and so that's the reason that changed, was just from me being here when I first moved here. And now, you know, I just think, you know, it'd be nice to be able to water our lawn and keep some stuff green around here and not get charged for it right now. You know, or make some kind of plan that some of us that can't afford that overage to, you know, to not be having Roger come up to your door when you're a notice or two behind, you know. You know, just because everybody's scared right now. My brother just lost his house. 3 of my mom's friends just lost their house. Half my neighborhood I grew up in is gone. And so, you know, I'm terrified. They asked me at the hospital last night, do you feel safe where you live in your home? And I really didn't know how to answer it because I'd like to know my wife's not beating me and the kid's not beating me, but I'm terrified if a fire breaks out around here. You know, I have a tinder box right between me and my neighbor, and I'm surrounded by forest behind me with no way to combat it.
Okay.
You know, and
I've got a couple ideas about this railroad property.
Yeah,
and
okay.
why don't we talk about that?
Let's do.
Come in and we'll talk about that, because I know the people at the railroad pretty well, and they might be able to help us with getting you some.
And you know the fire I'm
defensible
referring
space
to,
there.
this was the
Yeah.
patrol trailer thing, and I
Yeah.
just fear if that were to happen today, I don't think the boys would have got it out before it hit my house. It went all the way up to the railroad tracks, and we had nothing but a minor breeze, and that was in the beginning of the summer. So I just, now as dry as it is, I'm just terrified.
I have to say, I see people walking down that way, and I don't know if they're homeless or what, but there's a lot of traffic, foot
It's,
traffic.
I've seen everything from a deer with an arrow shot through it in my backyard on the railroad tracks. Now somebody's throwing giant boulders in the pathway that's down there. I don't know if they don't like the kids riding there or whatever, or they don't like me driving my Bronco sometimes down there. I got a little Bronco, and I got the path that goes right into my backyard.
Okay, we got it, Sean.
Yeah,
Let's
so
talk
not to
next
take
week.
any more time.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks,
You bet.
thanks. Tanya?
Yes, I'm Tonya Rogers, and I just wanted to kind of touch on when you guys says that no matter how green your grass is, if there's a fire going, your house is still gonna go. That's probably true, but it will slow it down, and slowing it down saves lives enough to get out of there. I'm just saying, it may not stop a fire from burning your house, but it will slow it down. And
My brother had less than 5 minutes notice to leave, and he didn't know where his kids were.
if we had some greenery, it would slow it down.
The only thing left standing was the chimney and the gun safe.
Okay,
So,
somebody else had their hand up and maybe you got tired.
Over there.
Yes, ma'am.
My name's Tina. I wanted to add to Tony's thing. If you look at my yard, I can't afford to water that whole thing. I'm over here by the mill yard. I can't afford to pay for that whole thing to be green. I've got approximately 4 acres. I can't water it. I can't afford that. There's only one income. My husband only works, and even if we both work, still can't afford that kind of bill. So, you know, if something happens, some idiot comes through there that, which a lot of people go through that mill yard, throws a stupid cigarette butt out, we're toast. And that's just gonna be the start of it. It's just gonna continue because the wind goes north. And, you know, and everybody's gonna look at us, well, why do you keep your grass green? Well, I don't want to. We used to be for the water bill overages, but fence, we just, enough to try to keep it just around our house, but that's about it. We've got equipment out there, some fire district stuff even out there that my, husband has to work on. Our shop's out there, we can't even water around our shop because of the water bill. So, I mean, yeah, maybe you're right, because Spokane houses are so close together. Yeah, it goes up quickly because the houses are so close together. But once it starts here, I'm taking what I can and I'm out of there.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Rich, I live on 8th. So earlier you stated that 90% of the water meters are under 15,000 gallons a month.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly. So just say per se it's 90%. So I guess if, the 10% that do go over that 15,000 and they're the ones trying to keep their places looking nice. And I guess I don't quite understand why punish them for trying to keep the town looking nice, their place looking nice. Paula, last council meeting, Paula had mentioned that there would be no issue with raising the base rate, just get rid of the overage fee. And I was curious, why can't we do something like that? To where it's equal across the board versus the 10% that do try to keep their places looking nice, because I am one of them. I take pride in my yard and property looking nice, and the last little bit, I can't necessarily swing the overage fee on it, so I've been careful, and a lot of it's burned up quite a bit.
Okay. So just a quick answer to the process. So at the last meeting, the council approved a form of the ordinance which addressed the what is currently called the conservation fee. They addressed it as a surcharge fee. We also, at the council's direction, the staff, and which is Sandy and I, basically worked over the ordinance to include a waiver of the surcharge fee during times when the DNR has declared, I want to get the terminology right, a wildfire danger of level 4 or greater, which is very high to extreme. And so that will be part of the agenda item, is the discussion on that tonight. The idea is that the council will finalize their work on this ordinance to the best extent that we can tonight. And we have a public hearing is scheduled for next meeting, August 19th. And at that public hearing, that's the step to basically put the ordinance out in front of everybody You have a chance to look at it. It'll be posted on the website so everybody can read the ordinance in advance. And then following that public hearing, the council can choose to take action on it or not. And that's what's going forward. Anita?
Anita Green. I'm sorry, but we're just entering stage 2. And you're talking stage 4 before you stop the conservation. That is way too high.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, Anita, but I was just on the map today and it says that we're at the DNR's level 4, which is very high. And I don't know, because I couldn't figure out when the DNR has actually changed these levels, but the new interactive map they've got, you click on our Conixu fire rating area, and it says level 4, very high.
Well, I apologize and take that back. It's just the information.
And the other rating that sometimes is out there is the IFPLs, the Industrial Fire Protection Level. And those IFPLs are intended for people that are working in the woods. They're not as necessarily appropriate for the
So these are stage 2 fire restrictions.
So are we taking the surcharge off? Because
You
we're
guys
doing
are
that
just
high.
making different.
Oh,
So this
okay,
is
so-
stage 2 fire restrictions. So they went from stage 1 to stage 2, they're gonna be more restrictive. This Friday, we go
Yeah,
to the very high
yeah, those are the
rating for.
Okay,
the
so forgive
restrictions.
me, please.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this just has to do
Then will
with
we be
what's
taking the
allowed
surcharge
fire-wise.
off?
Okay, but DNR.
We
has
would,
this level
yes,
4.
we would
But
at level 4.
he's talking about
So probably Friday.
they have
it's
a
fine.
name for it here.
No, as soon as the ordinance is approved with that language in it.
Oh, okay.
So what
He's
kind
talking
of
about,
service and
not the industrial
emergency?
precaution level, but he's talking about the
That's what
fire
we did.
level.
Okay.
And then
We declared it as an emergency.
So you understand my confusion?
So I go by the opinion is if you don't keep it green before and you let it get brown, it's gonna be harder to bring it back and get it green. So it's not gonna do any good. Just the last 2 weeks that I've not watered every day, my grass is already gone. And I'm at the level, my water usage, just what Keith and I use in our home and my garden is over the 15. And I have a very small garden. And everything else is going brown in just less than 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks or a month, when you finally get this passed, unless you do an emergency pass of it, everybody's yard is gonna be gone. And then a fire will come through. I have a metal roof, Joe Sturba put on many years ago, thankfully, because that will kind of save my house, but everything else around it's gonna burn. You're looking at it wrong, I'm sorry, you're looking at it wrong. You can't wait until the last minute to start watering when everything's already burnt up.
I agree with that. But Paul, I have a question. You and Keith go over your 15,000. Now where I'm at,
yeah.
it's just me there. Today I went and looked at it
It's
and
what I
I've been
used.
watering and I've used 3,000.
It said I used over 70,000 gallons.
Without water.
And I only watered for 2 weeks because I wasn't outside because of my shoulder surgery, so I couldn't get outside, get watering, so I only watered for 2 weeks and it said I used 78,000 gallons for last month. I haven't checked this month, but I had to quit after the last meeting, I quit watering except for my garden, and I only watered 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. That's all I water, and I'm at the 15,000 limit.
I would ask to get your meter checked.
Well, maybe they should check everybody's.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe check everybody's, and then we
Okay.
send it back on the oversee.
So,
I just don't wanna see us wait too long where we can't bring it back. This is a cute little town, and sadly, some people take pride. Rich is a brand new homeowner, and he loves his little home. Paula's home has been there, it's like a park. Everybody knows it, you go by, oh my God, it's so beautiful, and now I'm watching her yard just burn up. It's gonna be too late.
A lot of work there going down the drain.
Okay, well, I want to move the meeting along. We're going to talk briefly about the financial stuff, because the other thing we have to remember is two things. One is every gallon of water that comes out of your spigot costs money. So if we take the overage fee off, that means the people, and we raise the base rates for everybody, then that means everybody is going to pay more, including the people that don't use their whole 15,000 allotment. And those people, I don't think there's anybody here tonight speaking about that, but there is a general, the other side of the equation is the people that believe you should pay for what you use. Now, I certainly support the idea of having emergency relaxation of fees, and we are very fortunate in that our water system and our financial state of our water system is better than anybody else in North Ponderay County. I can say that without a smidgen of doubt. And I do know that some of our dear neighbors to the north of us and to the south of us, and even Mabton, Washington, are struggling with some really severe problems with their water systems because they didn't think ahead financially. And in some cases, it wasn't as much thinking ahead as it was the economics of it just make it real hard. Just like this here, it makes it real hard. Even if I look at these numbers with my, financial mind, and I say we need a 20% increase, because we essentially need a 20% increase for the next 2 years to get our financial state to where it meets the Department of Health guideline for an emergency fund. I'm not proposing that, but I'm saying that's what it would take to get back to where inflation has kind of taken us. So those are all the things that we're chewing on. And, I totally get it too. I've got an acre of grass up there at the RV park that I water just enough to keep it alive. And, I push right up against that 15,000 all the time. It's a full acre. But the bottom line is that we have to pay for it too. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to go 2 or 3 years here thinking everything is wonderful. And next spring, I've already been talking to Roger about this. We need to do a scheduled replacement and service of one of our well pumps. Because those well pumps, according to Roger, we have about an 8 to 12 year lifespan. And we're at about 12 years on one of them. They fail. And I would much rather do a scheduled replacement where we can do an RFP and take bids and do it economically and do it right without hurting the town, without having a water system out of a pump for a while. But it's looking at, 6 figures, $100,000. So that would wipe out half of our capital reserve that we have right now. So that's why I totally get what you're saying. I know that some people will say we're not listening. We are listening, but the other half of it is looking beyond that. And I think this new ordinance with this provision to waive the surcharge fee during this period of high fire risk it's prudent. I think the people that are paying to not use as much water are okay with continuing to pay their rate to support that. But I don't think that, at least some of the people have indicated to me that they want to continue paying a higher rate so somebody else can perhaps abuse the system. And I'm not saying abuse the system, but I had 3 people come to me after the last meeting and talk to me personally. 2 out of the 3 told me that they hadn't been paying any attention at all to their water use because we didn't have the conservation fee in effect. So it was run the sprinklers all night and see where they end up in the morning. And so those are all the things that are kind of swirling around in my mind. And I'm, again, the decision makers of the council. My job is to give as much information as I can to the council so we don't, walk into a deep hole that we can't climb out of. And financially, that is the biggest concern for me, is walking into a deep hole. So, Tanya?
Yes, I was just curious where we kind of stood on the proposal that Paul and Joe, brought up last time? Is that just,
The proposal that was brought up last time was the base rate and usage rate at, what ended up after the vote was, it would remain at $30 base rate, $30 usage rate, and the surcharge would be 0.116 or 0.001167. It was gonna be half of the current 177. It would be half of the current surcharge, and it also, they asked that we include a provision to waive that during, the extreme or high, very high fire danger and above. And by having that in the ordinance, then it can be easily waived without any further action by the council. That's what we were directed to do last meeting, and that's what we have here for the council to put the finishing touches on tonight.
I was just thinking, because that seemed really reasonable for those of us that do go over. And as for the watering all night, there's less water evaporation from your grass when you water at night versus during the day. But,
A couple other things, and I'm talking a little bit out of turn here because I would like to get the meeting going, but a couple other things that have crossed my mind about this is, one is that if we put it in the ordinance, we can certainly go back and do something about the surcharge rate, that's happening right now. But that'll be up to the council to decide how far backwards they want to go on that. The other thing is that I lost my train of thought on the other thing.
It'll come back.
May not.
So basically, it's $1.77, is that what it was?
$1.17 per
Dollar,
thousand.
yeah, per 1,000 gallons. And that's what this ordinance is that we're gonna do tonight.
okay, and then the proposal that you and Joe had, what was that per gallon?
That's what this is. The only difference in what we had proposed was we proposed a $35 charge, which would have given us $18,000 extra a year, and the council chose to keep it at 30. So there's no extra money coming in. But at least it makes it reasonable for people to be able to water.
The other thing I'll mention that may not be widely known is that we've had people come in since the conservation or the overage fee went back into effect. We've had Roger go out, he's found leaks or found where people had water running through their meters that they didn't know about. Those folks, and one of them came into the office today with evidence that they had repaired whatever it was that was leaking. I think it was some sort of a valve or something.
In the toilet.
And they provided a receipt showing that they had fixed it, and we were able to credit them back their overage fee that was being caused by the leak. So we are trying to be, I think, benevolent and fair about this, because some people, again, because that, it just wasn't on their radar because they weren't being charged for it. It wasn't on their radar. And I would anticipate that we'll continue that practice. And in fact, we probably should codify it, because it isn't in the ordinance right now, but it could be easily added. So anyway, is it okay if we move on? Is there something else somebody wants to say? Okay. We will close the first public comment period at 7:19. And thank you for your time. And with that, I will ask the council to approve our payroll in the amount of $16,473.55.
I make a motion to approve it.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Pardon me?
I had Cindy as one, who seconded
Mike?
Mike, okay?
Next up, I would ask the council for a motion to approve our accounts payable in the amount of $25,445.86.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First on our list of guest presenters is Sheriff Blakesley. And I want to congratulate you on your massive primary win last night.
Sorry about that.
You beat your opponent to a pulp.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to see this many people that have an opinion on things that are going on and respectfully voicing those opinions. So thank you for being here. So for July, you had 17 calls for service. 5 of them were from one small family group that we have repeat customers this month, so the last month. First call we had was an abandoned 911 call. Female called dispatch and told us that she had shot her husband and then hung up. So deputies boogied to the scene and he answered the door and he was fine. So she was having some psychological issues. They were able to hook her up with counseling services and get her some assistance.
So who did she shoot?
Nobody. Agency assist was Adult Protective Services, had an investigation they had us involved in. Animal bite was an elderly male who was bitten by a dog. It didn't describe how badly it was bitten, but we found out this is a repeat offender dog, so they were given a dangerous dog. So this is, when it comes to the ordinances, we don't enforce most of your ordinances, but when it comes to the animal ordinance, dogs specifically for potentially dangerous or dangerous, we do handle those. This is one of those cases where they got a citation and some additional paperwork for a dangerous dog use. Assault, an individual said that they saw a collision, videotaped it, and that the individual involved assaulted them afterwards. After talking to the victim and the suspect, apologies were made and they didn't want to pursue charges. So everything is happy in Hollywood again. Citizen assist was a female who wanted to get away from a verbally domestic violence situation. Deputies initially transported her to Newport because of the fires down south in Spokane. There are no hotel rooms or anything available. They took her all the way to Sandpoint, couldn't find a hotel there. So Bonner County took her off our hands and they eventually found someplace for her to stay, so she was safe. Citizen assist, that was the citizen assist. 2 civils, one was a family that was worried about a vulnerable adult being taken advantage of. They looked into it and I believe that was associated with the Adult Protective Services investigation. There was another person who was in the process of selling a property to somebody else. That person somehow transferred the property completely into their name and then was trying to sell it. So the original owner was a little frustrated by that. It's a civil issue, it's a contract for goods and services between them. So they've got to sort that out through the civil court system. Assault domestic violence, there were 2 of them, little odd. In both cases, the female was arrested for assault and taken to jail. Fireworks, talked to the mayor briefly. Fireworks, the RCWs are very specific about when you can and cannot shoot off fireworks. It's like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of July, and then New Year's Eve. Those are the only times the fireworks are good. Specifically, when we have the fire danger that we have now, anybody shooting off fireworks is a problem, and we want to hear about that. It's my understanding that there were maybe 2 adult males and maybe 2 juvenile males that were involved in this. If we have some names, we'd be happy to follow up with them and educate them. Found property. An urn was found and had a name on it. We were unable to locate the family members or who it may belong to, so we've kept it in our evidence. We've got a hold of Sherman Campbell Funeral Home in Newport. They're going to try to help us get next of kin contact information, so we try to get that back to the family.
Somebody like steal it out of a home, probably.
We're not sure how it ended. It was mentioned of some yard sales that had been in the area, but
Oh my gosh.
nothing but nothing associated with families that just.
Selling them off, huh?
It's weird.
Oh my gosh.
Psychiatric, 2 calls, psychiatric calls. Same person was a female who's having some mental health issues. Both times she was hooked up with counseling services. 3 suspicious circumstances. One was a false report of an assault. The individual called us and embellished what was actually going on in an attempt to get us there faster. That's actually a crime. So just tell us exactly what's going on, don't embellish it. A caretaker called us and said they couldn't get a hold of their client. They went to the house but were afraid to go in. Apparently, deputy went in and searched the house. Nobody was home, so apparently they were off to some other adventure, whether they were in the doctor's office or shopping or whatever. They were not home. No deceased persons in the house. The last one you have to giggle about just a little bit. A report of a human body found in the mill pond. Deputies went out there, and it certainly looked like a human body.
Yes, it did.
It was somebody's love toy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it had been there a while. We don't know as long as there's no reunification done, but anyways, it was not a human. So those were your calls for service. I have 3 additional items if you'll permit me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. People call us about the fireworks, but along with the fireworks, we get a lot of calls regarding tannerite, which are the exploding targets. We're having some research done. There's a conflict as to whether it is a flammable substance or a non-flammable. So the manufacturers say it is non-flammable. I've seen people claiming that the state of Washington and DNR classify it as flammable, but I haven't seen it in writing yet. So our instructions at this point are it's really, really stupid to shoot tannerite at this point in time, but I can't find where it's illegal. There's a DNR regulation that says you can't do it on DNR properties or public lands. It says nothing about your private properties. So we're looking into it further. If I find something that says it's illegal, I'll let everybody know, but again, it's a terrible idea, but I can't find where it's illegal.
So they're not illegal in the state of Washington?
No, tannerite is, you can buy it over the counter at most hardware stores. So it's 2 substances you mix together, and when you shoot it, it explodes. And so anyways, it's kind of cool when it's under the right conditions, but right now it's not the right conditions.
So so a plastic bag at the grocery store is illegal. But tannerite, an exploding substance.
Exactly.
I don't get to make the rules.
Wow.
If it's in town, you can't shoot in town.
Correct, correct, that would be illegal. Trying to keep you updated on the sheriff's bill, our fight against that. So there's actually 2 lawsuits against it. One is the 4 Northeast sheriffs that filed our lawsuit first. That has now grown. I believe there's 11 sheriff's offices that are involved in that, so that's good for us. The next in-person hearing is September 18th in Olympia. I don't know what time, and I'm going to try to get the Zoom link so that people can stay home and observe if they want to. And then the Sheriff's Association also has their lawsuit. That is the following week. That's on the 25th at the same court. So again, I'll try to get the Zoom link for everybody that's interested in following what happens. Ultimately, this is at the Superior Court. We know that whatever happens, whichever side wins, is going to get challenged and it'll go up to the Supreme Court of the state. So we're hoping to win, but it really doesn't mean anything in the big scheme of things until we move up the ladder. And the last thing I had was regarding Ed Stambaugh, our missing person. So there was a rumor that apparently was going around down River Days that somebody had located his vehicle in the river. We got it like 4th hand, which is always strange because usually if somebody finds that, they get a hold of us right away. But we got it like 4th or 5th hand. Deputies tracked it back far enough to get a stretch of river to check. Today we had fishing game up with their drone for quite a while. They ran, I think, about a mile of river that they were checking. They didn't find anything that way. We had our boat up there with side scan radar, which will tell you if there's a cooler in the river. I mean, it's really, really detailed. And they came up with nothing along that stretch. So we didn't find anything there, but we are still looking. Any tips, any leads, anything, let us know. There's a lot of theories out there right now, but until we get something more concrete to work with, we just don't know. But we're still looking and still interested in tips. Any questions for me?
I had one, but I can't remember the gentleman's name at the moment. My head is, it's still rotten.
I'll stick around.
The gentleman that's missing right now.
Ed.
Ed, thank you. Is there any leads on him?
Just what we just checked today, with the report that possibly his car was in the river. We can't can't find anything, we checked that area, so, no. There's rumors that he was headed to, karaoke ends up there was like 3 or 4 different locations, anywhere from Newport all the way into Spokane Valley. There's now rumors from other people that he maybe went up huckleberry picking and maybe ran off the road. There's a lot of speculation out there. There's nothing that we can really tie into just yet, but we're still looking for any information that may lead to.
Thank you.
Last I heard, he was going to a friend's house down in Clary, and never showed up.
And again, we get all kinds of stories about it. We gotta find something concrete. So, anyways, we're still looking.
Thanks, Sheriff. Chief McCannery?
All right, to start with, I'll give you the July total. So Fire District 2 had a total of 242 calls for service, 198 EMS, 24 fire, 15 motor vehicles, and 5 others. Town of Ione had a total of 53 of those calls, so a fifth of our, of what we do. 24 EMS calls, 26 IFTs. I spoke of those being those inter-hospital transfers from Mount Carmel and St. Joseph count against this station here. And then a total of 3 fires in July, fire calls. And those numbers are about double what we had last year here in Ione. So Ione's been,
But 29 actual Ione responses.
24 EMS responses and 3 fires.
So 27
Directly.
direct responses.
Yep. So
compared to
last year, you had a total of 12 calls. You had 9 EMS, 2 fire, and 1 motor vehicle call in July. So considerably busier, considerably more going on. We have been busy, lots of events all throughout the county. Going back to your question about the designation, that fire protection designation, and what you spoke of in your resolution on the DNR website. They have a dashboard. This is what it looks like on your phone. Just gives you some general basic numbers. You spoke of the national preparedness level. They have a national preparedness level number, 1 through 5. 1 being the most benign, typically means we have plenty of resources and there isn't a great fire danger. As those fire resources get used up and as the temperature rises, that number increases. Tops out at 5, we're currently at 5. You're going to want to make sure your resolution, you can choose to use the national preparedness level, or there is one more specific to the Northwest. That is also a 5 at this time. So, but my guess is that we're at a 5 today. We've been at a 4 now, probably for the last week.
Who does the Northwest one? Was what?
The DNR still determines that. Again, it goes back to how many trucks, how much personnel, how many other fires are burning all throughout. It gets to 5 because there are so many big fires all spread throughout Washington. Resources that the DNR would have right here, maybe in Deer Park, or in this case, planes that would have been available in Colville or Chewelah currently today are down in Spokane fighting that fire. Which means if you now have a fire up here, air resources are going to be very difficult to get. Most likely they would give us a piece of, but that's also going to compromise what they're doing somewhere else. So I would just say, if you are going to point towards a preparedness level, you'll want to determine as a council which one of those you'll want to use on that resolution. And it'll require you to review your resolution because the DNR, as they get new commissioners of public lands, they tend to change those kinds of things, the criteria or the actual designation. So you may have to go back and revisit that resolution every so often, just to make sure you stay current with that. Beyond that, I do have a message. The Fire District 2 commissioners just wanted to remind you and encourage you guys as the governing board to come to a decision on the Ione Firehouse as they have set for themselves the end of the year as their deciding point. to decide if we're going to move forward with changing up, whether it's ownership or the investment in it, or if we're gonna have to look at maybe relocating from that firehouse. Does that make sense?
The last time I talked with Chief Haynes, I wasn't aware of any such deadline.
Okay.
So I guess I'll get with Chief Haynes.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
find out
He
what
said
his
you could
deadline
contact
is.
him, or we'd encourage you to come talk to the commissioners directly. Maybe amongst yourselves, you put together a board or a group to go and speak with the commissioners. Our commissioner meetings are the fourth Wednesday. Fourth Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Down there at Tiger. Any questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Ms. Mondich,
Yes. Do I have to stand up?
you can, whatever you'd like to
Kathy Longish, I
do.
Am Beautification. So you know, we came in May with our grant that we applied for, which we got. So we received 12 custom waste receptacles for the town, for $6,240, 2 custom benches, and then the concrete and the garbage cans to go in the receptacles. So we need to get together and decide where we're gonna put them. We wanna put some at the baseball field and play football, and then some in town, and then some in the park.
That's awesome.
And then maybe the benches out here to kind of make it nicer out front somehow.
Okay,
So we need to talk about that. But, so we got, 8,400 is what it costs, is what we got for all our stuff.
good
So
deal.
they're making them right now.
Thank you.
Good job, Kathy.
We'll figure out where to put them and.
Good deal. So just in respect to what you're talking about, I had a guy come through the RV park who is a Parks and Recreation consultant. He works for towns getting them money.
Oh.
He most recently worked for the city of Hermiston, Oregon. And while he was here vacationing, he did a complimentary assessment of our town park. And
Now, you know, we have about $12,000 for the park.
you mentioned that. And I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but he said that he thought we would be a shoo-in for a considerable amount of a grant based on his experience. He's done it a long time. So my intention was to initially connect him with Cindy, and we would get the process figured out. And his fee is generally paid from the grant. And this entity that provides these grants it escapes me what it is at the moment, but it did not ring a bell as anybody that we've been with before. It's some other agency that somehow or another distributes money to primarily rural communities like ours that just don't have extra money for playground equipment. He was specific to playground equipment.
Yeah, because it's very expensive. I
Yeah,
think last time we looked into it, 7 years ago, whatever, it was $84,000.
yeah. Well, the number that he was talking that he thought we'd be a shoo-in for was considerable. And like I say, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but it was considerable. So he and I were supposed to connect after as we get toward the end of August. He was going to be back in the loop. And so Cindy, if that sounds good, we'll keep working that. And I think at some point or another, it'll be really worthwhile to create some sort of a advisory committee or ad hoc committee to all work on how we would like that to be down there.
Nice.
So,
And there's a certain, what is it? They're not here, but they come and do it because they have to be certified to put that in.
yeah, and he said that the other thing he was very interested in was our comprehensive plan and what it says about parks, because we have to have that to be able to get the grant, which we do have that. I just have to hunt it up and see what it
Did we have that from our
says.
last go round? Do we have that?
Yeah,
We do have a park
Okay,
plan.
okay, yeah.
yeah,
And
so,
so we also put in for another grant for 2 big signs for each end of town and a flagpole for the park. Which,
Did the Vaughan guys ever get back to you?
but these are super nice signs with the 8x8 posts, all metal cut out.
Okay,
So they
And-
tried to visit Kevin?
Yeah.
and our information sign has been ordered. So the new
Oh, good.
the new
Yeah.
sign to replace the highway sign with a new graphic sign with a LED programmable display is
Nice,
in production.
nice.
And I'm guessing we're gonna get it hopefully mid-September. And,
Well,
yeah,
I'm not sure when these will be done, we may have to wait till spring, but hopefully we can get them in.
well, it sounds like we just need to get with you and make sure that we've got a good plan for where they go and whatever help we need to put them where and,
And the town logo's on one side and then of course Kalispell's on the other, so,
sounds great.
yeah. So that's it.
Thank you, Kathy,
You're
as
welcome.
always. The flowers look great.
Oh, thanks.
Everything looks awesome that you guys
We're
do.
trying.
You were good
Let's
news.
see tomorrow at food bank.
All right, thank you.
Bye, Kathy.
Bye.
So moving on to old business is the water rate ordinance. And what I delivered to you tonight was both what I call a clean copy and a red line copy of the ordinance that last week we were, that got voted out, and we put it into Sandy and I both worked on this to put it into the proper form. And as soon as this gets, I would assume that after we hash through this stuff tonight and we're getting ready for the public hearing, it will end up on the website so that everybody can see. For the public hearing, you go to the public hearing and the documents will be there. Just to quick explain the red line, it should be self-explanatory from the standpoint that that's the text it's replacing it with. Working with Sandy, we were hoping to repeal 2 old ordinances that deal with late fees, and I believe there was another ordinance, but we might have to work on that, Sandy.
Yeah.
The yellow things that were marked up were the actual rate. Actually, the subject of lien was just to remind me to ask Sandy what that is. But otherwise, the yellow was the rates that were specified last week in our meeting. And Ms. Sturba had pointed out 2 things, one of which was she spoke about how to deal with wanton waste of water. And so that subparagraph 10 was just I just took a stab at it. And so that is a wastage surcharge. So if the idea being if somebody is determined to be wasting water, either we found a leak, and after the council's had a chance to review the circumstances, perhaps this would authorize them to assess a wastage surcharge. 8 was the waiver of surcharges for wildfire prevention. And as pointed out by Chief McCannery, we need to nail it down, because I went to the DNR website today and bam, they've got that new wildfire, and maybe it hasn't been approved yet, but they've got an interactive map. And you click right on the Conixu WDRA, and it gives the 5 levels, but they're more, it's not a national preparedness level.
It could be the Northwest preparedness level.
Yeah,
That's
it's definitely DNR.
Yeah. That same information that your map is getting, base information, our county is also, you should see it in the next week or 2. The county guest guys are putting out a wildfire map that takes that information in and gives you that information also.
Number 9 was a waiver of surcharges for freeze protection, and Sandy pointed out to me that was a separate ordinance that was passed many, many years ago. And in the interest of perhaps having all of our water rate information in one place, I took a stab at putting it into this ordinance so that when somebody wants to know what's going on with water rates, it's in one place.
And one thing that we need to change though is our meters are read on the 16th of the month. So our billing is the 16th of the month to the 15th of the month. So we can't have November 1st, it would have to be November.
Well, the reason I did that is it's the billing period after the 1st. So that would be November 16th, so to speak.
Okay, I see.
I wrote it that way in case our billing period changes.
Okay.
You know, if it changed to the 10th, we wouldn't have to change the ordinance because it says the first billing period after the 1st, so and so forth. But if you think it needs to be more specific, we can
that's great.
do that. And then the last thing here was number 11. We added a paragraph, and again, I believe this was Mr. Sturba that had pointed out he'd like to see something to do with both commercial and non-commercial water sales. And rather than try to call that whole thing out in the ordinance, I just put a placeholder in here that basically says the council may authorize and establish fees, rates, and procedures for the sale of bulk water to commercial and non-commercial customers that are not connected to the water system on a fee schedule separate from the ordinance. So essentially, the council can approve a fee schedule that isn't the same as having to approve the ordinance. And as mentioned earlier, if the council is close enough to wanting to move this along, if the council wants to consider a rescission of the surcharge fees, we could write that into this ordinance, and that's something that could be considered.
So I have a question.
Absolutely.
So if one of us on the council here made a motion as of today that we take the surcharge off because of the heat, the fires and that, can we do that? Or do we have to wait until this is all processed?
Well, my understanding and my read of it, going through the MRSA information when it pertains, because there's different things that the council can act on, and things that involve money and fees are generally have to be addressed through an ordinance. And the reason for that is so that we just can't, on a whim, decide to charge a sheriff department parking fee or some fee like that without going through the ordinance process. There's other things that we can do without the ordinance, but when it comes to fee and money, it gets more specific to ensure that every opportunity to have your voice in that is heard. And a key part of that is publishing the ordinance in a public manner, which is what we're going to do prior to the public hearing here next week, and giving everybody a chance to testify at the public hearing. Now, I certainly, if that, and I went over that with Logan, but if, I had not considered the declaration of emergency concept, because declaration of emergencies, the state vests that power with certain offices in the state, and there are certain things that they allow towns to do and certain things that they don't allow towns to do. So for instance, the mayor of a city of a certain population and all that, he can actually veto an ordinance. A mayor of a town like us can't. So there's little nuances in the rules that play into that.
According to this thing that I had pulled up earlier, it says you can do an emergency relief ordinance as long as the council all agrees.
It has to be 100% vote, Paula?
Yeah. Everybody must agree.
And just honestly, I'm gonna be honest, with all the fires going on and everything and people being stupid, trying to just create fires, I really think it's for the best interest of the town to waiver the fee for right now until we get this figured out and the hot weather changes and we're out of the danger zone and put this back into play. That's just my own opinion.
I'd do a rain dance if I could, seriously.
I join them.
Yeah, but we don't want no lightning.
Well, I can't say if they're with.
I didn't mean that. You're very
I have a quick question, Mayor. Is the town website, you gonna be able to pay the water bill on that, like, or is that?
That's coming.
That's coming, okay, I was curious, I know that's always been an issue. I would get it. Won't be late.
So Blake, any opinion on that?
I don't know the legalities of an emergency declaration like that. Fire department doesn't have that ability. Again, county commissioners have decided to go with the DNR. I think you can make a good strong case as far as if the DNR has put us at the highest levels of fire danger. You know, if what you're declaring goes along with that, but then really it's for the board to decide. I mean, you can make whatever decision you want as long as you're willing to sink or swim together. The worst that happens is someone come along and slap your hand and tell you that was the wrong way to do it, undo it. You can do that too.
Well, the other thing this goes back to is the water use efficiency guidelines that are cited here in the WAC, and the handbook was redone in 2025. And essentially, your water rate program, it gives a variety of guidelines in there for your water rate program. And to be perfectly frank, the water rate program that we have is probably, out of all the options that they talk about in there, is the best and the most fair to all users. The WE, the handbook, discourages flat rate water rates, and it discourages decreasing rate structures for increased use of water. Now, I just say that because they've kind of removed the word conservation from the book, and it's now efficiency. And so the town has to do water rate or water use efficiency reports every year. And it basically, we're still measured against our amount of water that we're using on a year-to-year basis and per the connections. So they count connections, they look at how much water we're using. And I will say that the current water plan that we have has not been updated since 2012. And it isn't required to be updated unless something major changes with our water program. But our water use efficiency plan is part of that. And there are implications for not having certain elements in your plan met, but the plan itself doesn't have to be submitted to anybody. So the Department of Health can come and request to see it, but they're only going to do that, I think, if somebody tells them to. So while you're chewing on that, the last piece of paper that I had here was Sandy did a snapshot from our accounting system of the money side of it. And so this snapshot shows all the expenses that are credited to the water program. It also shows our revenues. And basically in 2025, we had a total expense of roughly $250,000. and a total revenue of roughly $257,000. So our O&M margin for 2025 was $7,000. Our previous balance in that account is decent. It's at about $121,000. So last year we ended up in the O&M part of our account with about $129,000. So again, I'm not gonna be Chicken Little and say the sky is falling, but $129,000, you know, one pump overhaul pretty much wipes that out. In that same water plan from 2012, the consultant that did the plan, there are 4 financial viability tests that they make on your system. The first financial viability test is, are you taking in more revenue than expense? And in 2012, that was a pass, and in 2025, it's a pass. The second financial viability test is your operating cash reserve at least 1/8 of your O&M and G&A? And our G&A, our general and administration expenses, are pretty much combined and billed to our O&M account. So it's pretty easy. Sandy worked this up. And we've got a line here that shows that, for instance, for 2025, the operating cash reserve was in order to pass, you had to exceed about $32,000, which we easily did that with roughly $128,000 in reserve. So again, you know, good on what's been going on for the last few years, or last years. The third test is, do you have an emergency reserve? And the emergency reserve is structured to be, what is the most expensive part of your system that you might have to replace? And in 2012, they determined that our water reservoir was the most expensive part of our system that could have to be replaced. And in 2012, they said it was $500,000. So they, according to this, the suggestion is from that you should have a $500,000 emergency reserve. And of course, that's 2012 numbers. So if you use that same tank today, you know, what would it cost? You know, I don't really want to add 43% inflation to that. But I will say that we did a comprehensive inspection of our tank this year that included divers for an internal inspection and cleaning, and an external inspection. We have video and all that, and the inspection results reported that our reservoir was in very good condition, and the coatings are very good. And I know from the marine industry, coatings are everything. If you don't have good coatings in your boat or your barge, you're just killing yourself. So that was a relief for me. So that's the third financial test. And so depending on what you call emergency reserve, we have a capital improvement fund, which currently stands at $230,000, and a debt reserve fund, which currently stands at $176,000. The debt reserve fund is what we put money into every year to pay our loan that we have for the water system that was built in 2012. And so that we've been putting, looks like about $21,000. In past years, we've put more. In past years, we've put $50,000 in there. In 2025, we only put $21,000. We have to put it, we generally have been putting enough in there to write the check, right?
Right, and we paid off one of the loans last year, is why it's different.
Okay, so then budgeted for 2026 was $24,000. So our debt reserve fund is sound for servicing that loan. So if you consider the capital improvement fund to be part of your emergency reserve, you know, you would say you're roughly $270,000 short of being able to pass that test. Again, it's just a test, and we didn't pass it in 2012, and we don't pass it now. The last test here, and this one is pretty important, is they measure the ability of your community to pay a water bill. And how do they do that? Well, you take the mean household income that's indicated by the census for your area, and you multiply it times 1.5%. And that gives you the maximum amount that you're supposed to charge for your base water rates. And our mean household income from 2024 census data is about $72,000. And
I think if we all made that money, we wouldn't care about the water.
and the mean household,
Somebody messed up.
so and again, there's a couple different numbers on that census. There's mean, and then there's also an average, and they all mean something different. But if you take that, it says basically that our system, our water system, has the capability of charging our users as much as $1,086 a year for their water bills, the base rate of their water bills. And right now, at our current $60, we're at $720. So we're well below that highest threshold. And obviously, that's a pass, meaning we could charge more if we want to. It doesn't mean we really want to. So again, I don't want to overwhelm everybody with a bunch of numbers, but there are those numbers in place. I guess the concern I have, just from a financial planning standpoint, is really it isn't next year, and it may not even be the year after that unless we have some sort of catastrophic event with our water system. But it's certainly going toward the future. These pump replacements are expensive. One of the things that the water commissioner, Ken, and I talked about is there's an outfit that I'm familiar with I want to say they're out of Reardon. They're water operations specialists. They actually operate water systems for small communities like Tico and a couple other places down south. And these guys, that's all they do for a living, is operate water systems. And so Ken and I talked about the idea of trying to get it in the budget to actually bring them up to do an assessment of our water plant, how we're managing the water plant. I know that I've been up there with Roger several times. We've been trying to fix valves and reduce the amount of flushing water that's being used, things like that. Another thing that really caught my eye was our water system up there has a pretty comprehensive computer system that runs the plant. And that computer system and the software will only run on a Windows 7 computer. So that means most of the controller hardware and all of that, was designed around Windows 7. And basically Roger and Tom are nursing that computer along because the software, ends up being kind of the $1 million thing. And part of this assessment would be to assess whether or not what it would take to bring that computer system up to speed. And it's made even more important, I think, to me in the issuance this week of what do you call it? It's not a warning, but you saw it, right, Sandy?
The cyber announcement.
Well, yeah, there was a thing from the cybersecurity agency that the hackers are targeting infrastructure more and more because they know that they can cripple communities and that sort of thing, and maybe some of them just have fun, going on the computer and flushing people's toilets for them or something. I don't know. It's amazing what can connect to Wi-Fi nowadays, but that is a concern to me. It's a risk that we have to manage, and how we manage it now is basically, to my knowledge, the water system is not connected to the internet. You can't log in and look at the water system, so that's a good thing. But it is connected to the phone system because it calls us when something's wrong. But that's, again, that's all old school stuff. So anyway, with that, I will be quiet and the council can tell me how they would like to proceed or make more comments, or what would you like to do? Yes, ma'am.
So looking at this ordinance, the wastewater surcharge, you've got down a surcharge of 5 times the surcharge rate, which would be the $1.17. And I did talk about if somebody's got a leak and they're not fixing it, we need to do something about that. But the thing that concerns me in this is the paragraph that says, above shall be assessed for water usage in excess of 15,000 gallons for a water account that has been determined to be wasting water due to unrepaired leaks. We did talk about that. But then you've added, or excessive or improper use resulting in wastage is determined by the council and mayor in consultation with the maintenance public works director. So I guess I'm wondering what you're meaning by this excessive or improper use, because if somebody is if they're paying for the water and say they've used 50,000 gallons more than this person did next door, and they paid for that water, why should there be any kind of a surcharge against them for that?
Well, again, it goes back to water use efficiency.
Well, then we might as well not even do the ordinance, because people are gonna pay, I have been hearing now for I don't know how long, people need to pay for their water, they need to pay for their water, they need to pay for their water. So they're gonna pay for their water of what they're gonna use. They're willing to do that. But then you're gonna tack on here, somebody's gonna take a look at this and say, oh, well, Joe Blow over there used that much water, we don't think they should be using that much water. So we're gonna look at this as a council, and then we're gonna tell them, well, you have to pay 5 times the surcharge rate of $1.17.
Okay, this was just a suggestion based on what I heard at the meeting. And if this is not what you meant, then we'll cross it out and do something else.
I did talk about we needed to do something about people that.
Right, it needs to be an ordinance that we have the right to knock on their door and ask them to check their line and see where the excessive water was. Because we have no right to even go and ask anybody, is what I heard from the group. Which I can't believe we can't go knock on somebody's door when they're using 100,000 gallons and ask them, do you think you might have a leak? Why is that improper?
Well,
So we need that in
we've already
ordinance.
started doing that, Cindy.
Well, I'm glad that we're doing that, I am. But I am very much against this excessive or improper use. That's not for us to decide as far as I'm concerned. If that person's gonna pay, if they're gonna use 100,000 gallons and they're gonna pay for that 100,000 gallons of water, that's what we're asking them to do. We're telling them, if you're gonna use that much water, you have to pay for it. That's what I've been hearing from a couple of people.
And $1.17 per thousand does not cover the cost of the water.
And we wanted to raise it, we wanted to raise that, Dan, and that was voted down.
No, you wanted to raise the base rate.
Well, it doesn't matter the
$5.
money. I believe that Ken had said that this base rate that we're doing is covering the cost of the water.
No, that's not, it's covering the cost of our maintenance of the lines, that's what that covers. The cost of the water is costing us 1/3 of a cent per gallon, approximately 1/3 of a cent per gallon to produce the water. That's what the water's costing us. Yes, that's what came from the end here.
Calm down, Ken.
No,
We are
I don't
all
have to calm down.
supposed
I'm tired
to
of
be
telling you this
professional
stuff,
here.
same thing.
Let's
Yes,
be
you are,
professional.
let's try that. Now,
Yes, let's try that.
our water costs us 1/3 of a cent per gallon to produce it, to put it out here, okay? We've been over this many times. And what you want to charge these people for using the water over that is not that much. So we're actually not getting back what the water costs us necessarily when people go over that 15,000. So that's all, that's what it is.
Well, then why did you agree
Be
with
professional,
this?
sit there shaking.
Why
Because,
did you agree
because I
with
got
this?
tired of it, and I actually had a proposal that I brought that was actually a little bit less just to get over this, and you disagreed and said it wasn't less, but it was.
And you showed me that, Ken.
Yeah, and you said it still wasn't less. But that's okay, I agreed to go with this, so let's go with this. The point being with this of wasting water and that is, that's costing more than the water costs to produce. And I didn't put this part in there, I didn't do it, but that's the part about people wasting the water. Or say somebody's out there selling their water to somebody, and selling 20,000 or 30,000 gallons a month to somebody out there and selling for 5 cents a gallon. Now, and we're not getting back even the cost of producing the water.
Well, that's what's happening over behind the shop.
Well,
Right now,
actually, I looked at what goes out there, not that much water goes out of there.
Or are we increasing it first?
So because we brought that up, so I looked that up, there's not that much that
Might
goes
be a
out.
typo.
And I agree, there probably is some of that, but it's not, 50,000 gallons or anything. I'm just saying, you gotta think about this stuff. Are we gonna do that, or are we gonna let people just say, hey, I'm willing to pay half of what it costs to produce it and sell it for more and make a big profit, and we lose money on it. So I don't care about that line personally, I really don't care one way or the other anymore. I just, that's the reason for it. I'll just give you the reason.
Yeah, Paula, I appreciate your comment on that, because this was just me taking a stab at a proposal and crossing it out and changing it or deleting the whole paragraph until we have a better grip on how we would like to do that. It's no skin off my back. Again, I'm trying to give the council whatever we can do to move this along.
So what is it, Ken, the cost for us just to
Our
produce?
cost is approximately 1/3 of a cent a gallon, approximately. It's 0.00335 or something
Joe
like
has
that.
that figured out, it was less than that.
So maybe a lot of people didn't realize that there was a cost to.
No, Joe knows, and it was less than that.
No, okay, it was less than that, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do math.
If it's a third, then a third is all you can charge, because you can't make a profit on the water,
What?
right?
What?
No, you can.
We have to.
Yeah.
We have
It
to.
just has to stay in the water
Jeez.
budget.
No, I.
Okay, let me say something here quick, so everybody understands this, because they don't know. The water system is a separate entity in the town. We can't take money from other things and put in there to support it. It has to support itself. If it loses money, the state can step in and say, we're taking it away from you, we're gonna sell it to a private contractor who can charge whatever amount they want. And you think they're gonna just barely make a profit? They're gonna make a big profit. So this is the issue, this is my issue of trying to get the money that it costs to produce the water back, but everybody's so worried that they're gonna have to pay for what they get, and they want somebody else to pay for it, they don't care about that.
No, I'm willing to pay what I use. I'm along with the lines, charging the overage. We're already paying for what we use. We get charged 3 different water things, not counting the sewer. You get charged a base rate, then the water rate, and then your overage. If you go over. So why?
You get charged for the water you use, up to 15,000 gallons, you get a set rate. And if you go over that, it's still the same water coming out there, you're getting charged for what you use over that. You're not getting a separate bill for it.
No, it's all, line items right on the bill.
That's it.
So what's the base rate? What's that?
The base is $30, which you pay for up to 15,000 gallons.
Okay, and then we get a water usage, not the overage.
That's not a water usage, that's basically a maintenance fee that's a fee to maintain the lines for the meters and everything else, that's what that is. That's separated in our billing, in our budget amount, that's a separate item. And that's approximately what that costs us to maintain the lines and and the meters and everything else. And we have to replace meters or the things on whatever.
Correct, and when I'm talking about profit, I'm talking about above and beyond that.
Well, that's what we need to make more than the 0.03 cents, or 0.3 cents per gallon. we need to make that's where profit comes in. I mean, profit for people that don't use the 15,000 gallons, they pay $30, that's part of our profit, that's profit for us.
And profit's really not the right word for.
It's a margin, I guess.
It's a margin.
But that's what, if everybody paid the 0.3 cents per gallon just for what they use in water, our water system would be broke. So that, I mean, people don't wanna realize that, they don't wanna know that, they just wanna say, I don't wanna have to pay for what I use, because I'm more important than other people that live down here with small yards.
No, I don't think people are complaining so much about being charged for the water they use. I think it's at the rate that they're being charged for the water they're over. You said $1.17 per gallon.
All I'm trying to get here is that people pay for the water they use.
Yeah,
That's all I'm looking at.
the gallonage rate for the surcharge, obviously the $1.17 per thousand is, as Ken pointed out, is less than the cost of producing the water. So it's really just, it's defraying the cost, it's not covering it all. The previous rate at 0.00333 was originally derived from the actual cost of the water.
So how much would you have to raise this to make a profit on it? Make the margin raise?
Well, the bottom line is, as I pointed out earlier, in 2025, running the system that we ran, and with the surcharge rate or conservation fee, as it was called, got taken off in May, we ran a $7,000 surplus revenue to expense. So that's, I mean, if you were budgeting, you'd be a high-fiving guy. You'd hit it pretty close. But the idea is that we want to make sure that we're putting money into those capital and debt funds. And so the very minimum, with that $7,000 margin, the very minimum was put into those funds. And at that rate, just simple math here, putting $15,000 a year into our capital improvement fund, it'll take 20 years to add $300,000 to that fund, being decreased by inflation. So that's a little light. But that also is the reason why I've turned up the heat on Roger and Tom for our maintenance and our inspections and all of that, so we don't have the November surprise on our water system.
I'd rather have the extra money in the bank in case that pump goes down than not have it at all. Fire, no fire, everybody's in the world's food. So
Yeah,
I'm for putting it up to where we can make a profit to cover that pump when it goes down.
Yeah, it's essentially what I've explained before is that if you take $30 in 2012 and you plug it into the CPI calculator from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, today that's $44. So that's how much money we've lost from our $30, roughly 43% to inflation. So if everybody was in here was a Microsoft engineer and money was no object, I'd probably raise the rates 20% on January 1, 2027, and I'd raise them again on January 1, 2028, and I could sleep at night. I could sleep at night for the next 5 years, knowing that we would be putting enough money away to support our system. But I realize that's a tough call. Yes, sir.
What's the interest rate on the loan that you're paying for, and how much is going towards principal versus the interest rate when you're writing a $21,000 check?
Yeah, I don't have that right on the tip of my tongue, but I know it's a really favorable interest rate that we get through a public works loan fund. It's like Sandy might know.
No, I don't remember it off the top of my
I
head.
want to say it's right around 2%.
And you don't know how much is going towards the principal?
No, I,
Just 2%, I'm sorry, I should do.
No,
The
I-
other
Sorry.
98%.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
getting hot in here, I think.
yeah, I still have trouble with electronic Coke machines, so,
Yeah,
but I know that, you know, we're putting 15,000 into that capital improvement. There were some years that we didn't put anything in there. 2020 through 2023, we put no money into the capital improvement fund. And part of that is because our debt was higher, as Sandy pointed out, we had that loan we were paying on. And our rates stayed the same. See, this rate change hasn't happened since 2012. And, you know, all I can say is I don't know who the council was in 2012, but whatever, you know, they picked that $30 out of their hat. And it's, thank goodness that we had a brand new water system that hasn't required major investments. And we've been able to go this far. And like I say, I could, certainly the council could take the easy way out and, you know, and probably make it a couple more years without giving this a really good hard look. But we're really just one big well pump failure away from going, oh, cripes. Or, you know, our heat map for earthquakes in Ponderay County is pretty favorable. You know, we haven't had many up here, but our reservoir sits on the side of a hill, of a limestone hill. It looks pretty good, but, and then the other thing that Sandy pointed out to me was that the Cedar Creek Bridge has our water pipeline crosses the Cedar Creek Bridge, and when we had that flooding a couple years ago, and all of a sudden the spotlight was on that Cedar Creek Bridge, which is a pretty important bridge, they figured out that our water line on that bridge was never authorized to be hung on that bridge. So that chicken is gonna come home to roost when the county decides to replace that bridge. You know, we will likely have to find a funding source, either ourselves or through transportation grants or whatever, to relocate that water line. So those are the sort of things in the back of my mind. I mean, I'm not Chicken Little tomorrow, it's a big problem, but anyway, yes, Tanya.
Okay, while we're talking about water lines and everything, okay, has the town got together, since we're paying for this, decide when we're gonna loop our pipe that goes down our road, to loop it in instead of dead ending? Because it's supposed to loop in,
Would that be a
It's
Bob
not
Dawson
dead
problem,
end.
or is that our problem?
but you guys accepted his proposal to put in that water system.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not this council per se, but
Yeah.
before there had been somebody that approved it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, Tanya, so I would hesitate to say, you know, it's certainly something, I've had some discussions with some other folks that live up there, and, you know, I've heard some things, but I can't say. I've got some notes to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, we need to figure something out
But
because
it's
their
dead
water's
end
horrible.
at our house.
Yeah,
I mean, it's seriously a dead end. And it's supposed to, yeah, and it's supposed to loop 11, I think.
I know that it dead ends at the RV park as well. So,
And
I-
it's supposed to loop in,
well, I don't
continuous.
know exactly about design or anything else, but it dead ends up there, so I get the good old Ponderay slush there sometimes, and
Well, I was gonna say, coming from the fire department side, if we were to use one of the fire
Hydrants.
things, yeah, the fire hydrants, it's, the closest one is right down the road for us. Okay, now if they need to move up, it's not gonna be continuous, it's gonna run that side dry, and our side's not gonna get it, so that's why legally it's supposed to loop, so you can get water coming from both ways.
yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Kept our mouth shut all these years.
I don't think the town ever agreed to do anything on that, but it's certainly, like I say, it's one of those things that we need to identify and put on a plan and figure out how we can make it happen.
Unfortunately, I hear a lot that some people just did what they wanted to do, whether the city really knew about it, or the town knew about it, or vice versa.
No, we
So-
have a whole plan in the office,
Is there a
a
whole
whole
plan?
Yeah.
blueprint, and it tells you exactly who's responsible for it.
So maybe you should come look at that blueprint, Tonya, and maybe it'll tell you who's responsible.
That
So that,
regardless if the town's responsible or Bob is responsible, Bob's not here.
No, he's
So
not.
that falls back on the next person, which would be the council. So, for accepting it.
well, yeah, we'll have to talk about that as a separate issue, Tanya.
Okay.
So we're about to turn into pumpkins here, and so in order to move this along, what I would like to do is just assess a couple things with the council members. And first off, does the council want to see this paragraph 10 go away for now, the wastage clause? Again, I threw it out there in response to a comment.
I think it should stay in there.
To take the last sentence
I would
out.
take the
I
last
don't
part
need
of
to take
it
the
out.
last part, I don't really care one way or the other, I just think that we need something to get some, for people that are wasting it, like if they got a leak and they don't care.
But I think
Have
that needs
something
to
like say
be,
they want to pay for it.
I agree with you, Ken, but I think that should be in a different paragraph on its own.
So do you want something that deals with waste, but do we want it to be necessarily as descriptive as this?
I would just take
Do we
the
just
last
want
part.
something that? Okay, Ken, we can talk about that, because what I would like to do is, if there's any high points here you would like to talk about, is it, I can take those high points and fix them. I think I have an answer on the rates that were highlighted in yellow. It looks like we want to leave those the same for this version. And I probably need to look a little harder at the DNR fire danger rating. I also, Sandy found a typo up here under service reservation fee. It says 36, we actually charge 30. And I'll clean this up and I'll post it on our website and everybody can look at it over the next 2 weeks. And then please come prepared to testify at the hearing.
What day is that?
That's at our next regular meeting, which it'll be August 19th. So we're gonna start our meeting at 6:30 like normal, and then we're gonna go right into the public hearing at 6:45. And we'll receive the final comments in, and then once we've had that public hearing, then the council can choose to take action or not. And I will also be digging further into the idea of whether or not we can declare an emergency, whether a town has the ability to do that and change our ordinance on the spot. But particularly when it regards to charging your citizens money, they have some pretty specific things about the ordinance process that I was trying to stick to.
We've done an emergency before, I don't remember what it was for, but it would just be a resolution, which is real easy to do,
Okay,
so.
which wasn't done last year, which is kind of part of what
Right.
fell apart for
Yeah.
us. So, does the council agree to move on with the agenda? Okay, so going on, we don't have any new business. Staff reports, administration, Sandy?
No, I just wanted to clarify something that Paula said. When we said the general fund, because we were talking about the water and the water budgets, it goes into the general water fund, all of our water rates do, which is actually the operations and management, instead of capital or debt reserve.
Because when you said general, I thought it was just in the B&O, it's not the water.
No, it is the water fund, yep.
Thank you.
And that's the only thing I have.
Thanks, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
McKenna?
website's live. It's at ionewa.gov. You can do it on your phone, website. There's still some tweaks that we're doing, but it looks pretty good so far.
And probably within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll be able to pay your water bill online. It will be with a credit card or debit card. You can set up monthly payments. It automatically will do that for you, and email reminders. So we'll send out information on all of that too.
Without an extra charge?
Yes, of course.
So I can still do my online banking, because I have it on my online banking that automatically pays it to you guys.
Yep, that still works.
I am curious, how are you avoiding, you said no extra fees, but how are you avoiding the credit card?
No, we are having extra fees.
Oh, there are?
Yes.
Yeah, but it goes to the card company, we're not getting any of
Right,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Right now, it's at $295 a month, but then there's different rates. If you do certain things, it's less than if you do other things. So, but the highest one was $295.
A couple other, and again, I want to really commend McKenna in her short time here. She really took that by the earlobe, and I appreciate her tenacity. And she spent, I know, a couple hours on the phone with the web company here in the last couple of days tuning it up. So thank you, McKenna, and great work getting that done. The other couple things that I really like on it is you can sign up for notices, and you can select those notices you want. For instance, we had bid openings today. We'll start posting our bids and RFPs and small project work on the website. And if somebody is signed up for it and they check the box for that, and you can check the box to receive all of it, but you will get notified when something gets posted there. So if I post something up that we need new, we're putting out an RFP for gutters on the ICC, and you're a gutter person, you'll have a chance to be notified of that. And as I pointed out earlier, there's also that report of concern that goes straight to me, and then there's a canned response you get when you submit it, but you can also, like I say, you can also call me directly. You don't have to use the website. It's still 509-690-2580. So.
What's the site that you guys get the fire information from? DNR. I linked the DNR site on there, if you guys see it. Under the news things, you'll see for updates and anything.
And I think it's gonna be okay for us to link the fire department and the sheriff's department. Eventually, we'll have a links page for citizens to be able to get information. So, what was the other cool thing on there? Oh, the calendar. There's a town calendar that if you're interested in renting the ICC Blue Room, you can go on there, you can select the Blue Room schedule, and it'll tell you if the Blue Room's being used. And then there's an online form to do a reservation, and we'll kind of feel our way through how that works. So, the other thing on the mayor's report that I would like to do is website live, airport projects. We're still working on it. We've got issue with the concrete out there, and now we're trying to coordinate both the runway reseal and the helicopter pad pour with one runway closure. So again, I'm kind of disappointed in how that's working out, but fortunately, we did get a land use agreement with the Forest Service for helicopters in there, but I don't think they've had to use it very much, once or twice. The last thing I'd like to do on the mayor's report is Miss Sandy Hutchison resumed part-time on August 1st. And I'd like to personally thank her for the last few months that she has worked tirelessly in there. And Sandy, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we appreciate you very much. And
Thank you, Sandy.
with that, we'll move on to Cindy.
So down there, days went fine in the park. There's just some little issues. Kathy and Dawn, Miller back there, want to take the table that they donated to the park and take it home and sand it and repaint it.
She wants to.
Well, she wants.
She's gone.
Oh, she is gone. So, so there's that. I need to work on that wall that's falling down. I've got some ideas, we're just putting a railing in.
Okay,
Because we financially can't afford, 5 years ago, someone said, oh, 30,000, we can fix it or do something. 5 years ago, so now it's like probably 90,000. I don't know where you're gonna get that one.
Maybe in that Parks and Recreation person.
Not if it's for toys, suppose we put a swing right there. I don't know.
okay.
So I don't have much on the park right now.
I was the
The
one,
rocks got done.
I was the one that hacked the weeds down at the pump house. So that big mess of thistles and stuff, I couldn't stand it anymore and I went down
Oh, I
there.
know, it's bad. But the guys,
Tom and Roger have been chasing a couple problems with the sewer plant, and so I'm not gonna, like I say, I kudos to Roger this week. He and Tom tore down a sewer pump. Actually, we had to get people into machinists to help us get the couplings apart, but downriver days, we didn't have our lift station working down there, and so we were monitoring it, and they were able to do a in-house repair, and Hortons was able to clean out the sump, and I think we're good for the next 10 years down there now. So good on them. That was an expensive pump. I was a little worried about it.
yeah, I might be able to put something out in the paper, maybe come up with a weekend for volunteers that would like to come and maybe weed eat, because I know we didn't get the grant funding for that student that comes every year. We didn't get the money for that, so we don't have the extra work or the extra help. So maybe I put something out, get a volunteer weekend, just weed eat, get things done.
Okay.
Oh, and I do have the event, September 12th, is the 9/11 ride with the riders.
Okay.
And I'll have some kind of a presentation with the fire department and all of them, Border Patrol and all of them, Ticket Bureau.
And anything like that you want to send McKenna's way, she, in about 2 seconds, can get it on the website front page.
Okay,
So, looking forward to that.
yeah, so keep that in mind, you guys. 9/12 will be a program at the park. It won't be a very long program. I said I would dismiss the riders early, because they've got a route.
Okay.
And then I can finish giving some certificates out from the town.
So we need to make sure we block that off on the calendar.
All right. Mr. King, how are you?
Good. I really have nothing.
I'm gonna drag you into a couple things. Like I say, I've been kind of consumed with this stuff and
So you're gonna teach him about the airport?
that is one of the things, yep. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and the FAA just changed a couple of the systems that I just figured out, and so I've got to figure them out again. We'll figure it out together, and then we'll both know. And you'll have your pilot's license in no time. So. Well, thanks for being here, Mike, and appreciate your insight. Mr. Timmerick.
Nothing.
Okay. I will point out tomorrow is the resource fair in the park. I know I'm gonna try and be down there, and I believe our, Mr. Rice has been nominated to cook hot dogs for the crowd. And, I think it's a good deal for the kids, so I believe the fire department and the sheriff are both gonna be there.
I'll be doing kids' haircuts for free.
Kids' haircuts? Oh, wow.
There's several, or 3 of us, I think, that'll be down there.
Okay.
Children only. If you adults want haircuts, you can pay me.
Okay. Okay.
For you, it's twice as much.
What time is that?
Pardon me?
What time is it?
Starts at 1 and
At
goes
1.
till 4. Yeah.
In case anyone calls.
When does
I-
all that start?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. I got,
Said it's 4 o'clock, 4 to 8 or something. Or is it more?
the other thing that I had is that, we did get the quotes back for the gutter repair on the building, and I sent a note to Paula. I didn't get a response back, but the previous meeting, Joe had indicated, to go with the best quote, and the best quote was about $2,200 to completely redo the gutters on the building. And I researched the references and picked, even though these guys are a couple $100 more than the other ones, they have better references. So that's my criteria. And so I'll be working with Sandy on making sure we fund that the right spot. I do have a very quick executive session because I've got a couple of important things, and I promise you it's absolutely brief, but you need to know about these. But one of them, we're gonna go into executive session to discuss a contract matter and also a matter of an employee's performance. And so with that, at 8:40, we're going to go into executive session. We're going to come out of executive session at approximately 8:50, and then we will adjourn the meeting. So thank you for your participation tonight, and we will see you next meeting, if not sooner.
I've never really talked to him about that.
Hey, Jarvis.
Give you a copy of that.
Thank you.
And I'll go shut the door.
Okay. And you guys stay. You guys stay.
Yeah.
The council and the staff.
Yeah.
You guys need help putting chairs where they're at?
I think we'll
Mayor
thank you
Nutt,
very much.
Sonia
Yes.
with the Selkirk Sun. Sorry, my camera's not up. I just wanted to know how I can find out the outcome of the executive session, whether or not action is taken.
There is no action taken in executive session, so there's no minutes taken and no action taken.
RCW, after an executive session, you have to state whether or not you're going to take action in the future or if there is no action going to be taken. I verified that with Commissioner Smiley. If Sandy can just send me an email or McKenna, that would be great.
Okay, but we're not going to divulge the contents of the executive session because there will be no action taken. And they're private.
The only thing that's required is that I have to include in there somewhere that there is no action taken. That's all I needed. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonia.
You can go.